I am a member of Military Families Speak Out and World Can't Wait and Peace Action of Staten Island. My son went to Iraq last year. He's in the Marine Corps, and he was in Afghanistan right after, well, he was the first Marine Corps into Afghanistan in 2001 in October. At that point in time, I work in downtown Manhattan, and I was pretty much shocked at what happened on 9/11. And my son was in the Marine Corps, and I knew that he was going to be the first group in there and looking for this, supposed terrorist, Osama bin Laden, and I wasn't too happy about it. He used to call me from there, from Kandahar. He was in the forward operating base there. They were going into Tora Bora, doing all kinds of crap there, blowing up shit, which was his MOS. And about 4 months into the operation, he calls me up and he says, every time we go in and blow up a cave, and we have good intelligence that Osama bin Laden is in there, they won't let us go in and get him. And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't get this, So that's when I realized that there was a lot more to the picture than what I had figured. I was aware of what was going on. I didn't like the administration. I'm a lefty liberal, and I've always spoken out, and I don't know how my son wound up in the Marine Corps, just a twist of fate. But being a Military Family Speak Out, I met a lot of parents in the same predicament. They're real left-wingers, and their kids wind up going into the military because these days there's nothing left for them to do. There's no real work out there, so, they say, hey, military comes along, offers them a $20,000 bonus to come in, and they do it, and why not, Anyway, so that's when I decided to hit the streets, and I hung around with my daughter, who was in a peace activist group in City College, and I was the oldest person there, and I'd go to we went to the RNC together, and she got netted, I didn't, but I hung around with all the kids there because we were just starting to put this whole anti-war movement back together again. And so then I decided that there was just a lot more to the picture than the war. My son then came back from Afghanistan, and he went to Iraq last year. And at that point, I was with World Can't Wait and Peace Action Staten Island, Military Families Speak Out. I, kept getting arrested. I kept, getting in everybody's faces. And he would call me from Iraq pretty much once a week, and I'd hear the explosions in the background, which was pretty scary. I'd be at work at lunch, and he'd be talking to me, and I'd say, what's that noise? Oh, that's okay. It's just, like another IED went off and a truck exploded, and he'd be out in the front, and I said, well, why can't you come inside? And he's like, no, then I can't talk to you because the satellite reception will go dead. So I really lived the war with him, which was frightening, and I just had to keep at it every day. I was out there all the time doing anything and everything I could to stop what's going on in this country, to stop the war, and slowly but surely this government has taken away all of as many rights as they could that we worked really hard for in the 60s, and they're chipping away at the Constitution, if not shredding it. And it's not just Bush. It's going to wind up being the next president. So I'm determined to make all of that, end. And the way I look at it is direct action. I like to get up in people's faces and tell them what I think. And I'm, constantly at any rally I could go to, speaking out, doing what I can. And my son, thankfully he came back from Iraq, and he is against the war. He joined IVAW last year, no, actually this year in June. And he may have to go back next year. So we talked long and hard about that, and he's not sure how he can handle something like that because he doesn't want to go back to Iraq. Although the Marine Corps is saying now that they may go to Afghanistan, which, I don't know, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It's all war to me, and I just think it should end. And he's pretty disillusioned with what he saw. He came back realizing that the government is using them. And he has expressed his resistance in many ways. One of the interesting stories I could tell you is he called me from Fallujah one morning. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and he said, "I got a story to tell you, Ma." I said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "Well, I'm not going on patrol today." And I said, "Well, that's good. What happened?" And he said, "I wouldn't put my flame suit on." And the commanding officer came out and said to get back inside and put on my flame suit. They were in formation, and he said, "I lost it." And the commanding officer said, "What do you mean you lost it? Where could you have lost it? Go look for it." So he said, "I went inside and I looked for it," and he didn't want to wear it because he said, "Yesterday I saw 2 of my buddies burned alive in these supposedly flame retardant uniforms that they make them wear now." He said, "And I'm not putting that crap on because that's war profiteering to me. Why should I wear that? I'll just wear what I have." So he went back out and he said to the commanding officer, "Well, I can't find it." So this is in the formation of the entire platoon. I said, "Oh, Jesus, James, what did you do?" And they know me. They know who I am. And I said, "Did they say that your mother had something to do with this?" And he said, "Well, they kind of laughed, but the staff sergeant sent him back in, and they all went out on patrol without him." And he said, "Hey, that's great. I get to watch movies all day, and I get to sit here and talk to you." And I said, "Well, I'm glad. I'm proud of you." So anyway, he gets it. And one of the things that I spend a lot of time doing is I go to military installations, and one of the things that I did when he was at 29 Palms is I went out to the corner in front of the military base, and I had a mask around my face that said, "World can't wait, drive out the Bush regime," and I stood on the intersection and handed out flyers to all the Marines and soldiers that drove by, and they were all really happy to see me. Let me tell you something, when you get out to those military installations, those guys like talking to you because they don't know who to talk to. They can't go home and talk to their families about how they feel because then they'll look like they're unpatriotic. They can't talk to each other because then they'll look like they're wussies. So when you're standing out there and you're handing them stuff, they talk to you. So I do this all the time. In fact, there's an armory in Manhattan that I belong to a group called the Military Project, and that's what we do every month. We have somebody on the inside who gives us the schedule, and we are there bright and early, 5:30 in the morning, with our fresh baked cookies and all of our handouts, and we talk to the soldiers, and sometimes we could hit on 150 of them in the morning, and all of them want to talk about how bad the war is, and they hate Bush, hate him. And it's really rewarding work, and I suggest that that's something else people take up. If you know if there's a armory or a military installation where you are, that's something else MDS could do. 2 people can go out there with literature and hand it out to them and talk to them.